traders from around the world, welcome to your Monday, January 7th, 2019 stock review. It's the first one that we've had together in a while since I've been out and kind of on a semi-vacation for 2 weeks. Let's review the SPY and just kind of talk about what we got and the retest levels that we're putting in. Here's the weekly chart. And the weekly chart, obviously a gorgeous level to trade off of, which is the 200 simple moving average on a weekly chart. Really beautiful spot to be bouncing and interacting. And this candle is all of today's candle. It was a big day today on the SPY, a really big movement. And we are retesting some very interesting prices. We're retesting the lows really right now, the lows of February and April. These two red lines are kind of showing those lows, those areas. And on the daily chart, realistically, what I'll be watching for with this particular candle is just any type of closure below this candle, mostly because here's your moving averages on the daily chart, and we're kind of above the 20. We did close above the 20. So most likely what's going to try to happen tomorrow is a little bit of a retest and a bounce. That's what the market most likely wants to do. I think that structure makes sense. So we'll just kind of really be keeping a very close eye on what happens tomorrow, because if we do get a nice retest, a little bit of lower shadow, and we close with a nice lower hammer, shadow, some type of wick, then I could see us trade back up into the 50 where, you know, at that point around the 260 mark, that is the 100 simple on a weekly chart, that 261 time frame. And that's kind of the area that I think we will start seeing some potential rollovers. But of course, one candle can change anything at this point. So as far as a gap or closures or movements are concerned, I still do anticipate some form of this happening. I just don't know what it's going to look like, how it's going to shape up, but a trade back down to the 200 simple on a weekly just seems imminent to me. At least in my opinion. So that's the SPY. Here's the Qs, and the Qs had a nice little day today. Super strong bullish day on the market on Friday, and really just gargantuan, strong move on Friday. You had obviously Thursday's bearish candle. We never went lower, right? You had that one black crow candle. Didn't make any additional lower lows. So the Qs, strong candle today. Right now, we did close above the 100 simple on a weekly chart. So really I'm just watching for some type of gap or some type of closure, some type of pretty bearish candle. Today's low, in my opinion, will be pretty important. And if at any point in time we do close below the low of today, I'll start leaning more towards the cautionary side of expecting some bears to kind of take place. But again, looking at it from an hourly, pretty much everything is moving similarly right now. And tomorrow will be a really big day to watch to see if we actually trade down into like the 155-ish area and bounce off of it with lower shadow, or if we close bearish tomorrow. We'll just kind of see. Now, of course, we could just gap up and continue the bullish train. That's totally fine on the Qs. Don't have any issue with that. But you know, as far as how high we actually end up going, we will see. That part I really don't know. Most likely we'll see some good resistances off the 50, as that's what we had back in November, December 3rd. And again, we'll probably pause at the 50, throw up some upper shadows, and things will be interesting for quite some time. The IWM had a really strong day, up closing up almost 2%. Again, retesting, bouncing off these levels, and you know, a lot of bullish traders are excited about the candle from this week getting taken out. You know, this huge candle, but a lot of bears don't expect it to. So I kind of do think we're going to slowly just peel a little bit higher on the markets before we get any type of massive rollover. But I'll be watching the low of today's candle really closely. So let's talk about some of the trades I was looking at today. Today was actually Mentorship Monday in the morning trading rooms. And Netflix was one that continued nice and high. It was very beautiful. And here's kind of my plan at this particular moment is I'm watching Netflix on earnings. It did hit the 100 simple moving average today. Perfect bounce off the 100 simple on the weekly. And this was one of the stocks that I was more bullish on my Thursday market review. Gorgeous gap on Friday. I actually ended up missing that trade by about 25 cents. And really good move. I did not day trade Netflix today. I was watching it for a bearish fade most of the day, only because this candle had really no upper shadow. It was a really nice retest gap, and I should have played it as a retest gap. I mean, it was just a very classic, gorgeous S-curve right into the 10 and just a bounce. I mean, everything about it was phenomenal. I guess, was too scared to play it. I don't know why. Anyway, everything worked perfect on Netflix. I mean, just gorgeous, gorgeous move. Had this candle had a little bit more of an upper shadow, just the tiniest upper shadow, I would have been in on that particular position, but unfortunately did not. Anyway, watching very closely, I did scour the option chain for some premium on Netflix up in this general area for February, even March, to see if there's any kind of bear call spread premium, and there's not right now. So waiting on Netflix, no trade on it right now, but it is very interesting that it's hitting this 100 simple moving average, and I do think this gap from the last 2 days does eventually fill on Netflix. Here's Apple, AAPL and Apple. This is the pink line, Mr. Squiggles, that I posted from the review and the portfolio that I sent out yesterday. Here's the hourly chart on Apple, and really it's just going to slowly grind higher. Apple was down too far on Thursday, gapping down 10%. Granted, it was a bearish gap and go, but it did hit its target, which is the 200 simple on a weekly chart. These put sales down here, really nice level. I'm going to be buying that back most likely tomorrow for 18 cents or a little bit lower. Got $1 for it. So really good premium there. And just seeing how long Apple's going to hang off the 200 simple. I do think it eventually fills this gap, creating some type of really ugly wave 4, and then from there, potentially one rotation lower. We'll see, of course. That's just kind of my thoughts on Apple. NVIDIA, very close to taking a great day trade on NVIDIA today. I loved the gap that it formed. I like the movement. I like the close. I like the volume. So yeah, I think it's actually worthwhile to keep NVIDIA on your watch list on the daily and hourly chart. Here's the hourly time frame on NVIDIA. And again, like most stocks, you got this good gap and a little bit of a double bottom. So if it pulls back to 137.74 or 138 tomorrow or the next day, I think it could be a decent short-term buying opportunity. You know, how long is it going to take before it actually ends up rolling over again? That part I don't know, mostly because it did not actually hit the 200 simple on a weekly, and I do think it wants to do that. But of course, it doesn't have to. I mean, again, this is a really good gap on a weekly chart, gapping above the high of last week just by 2 pennies. Really nice gap on NVIDIA. Here's the trade that I missed. So a 5-minute chart, my good buddy and trader friend in Austin, Texas, Michael Ward, told me about this tweezer top that came in right here. These two hammers, these candles had the exact same high. And as I was analyzing it, I analyzed it on this candle, as this candle was forming. And I liked it a lot, and I really just should have gone in with an entry here and a stop loss there. The reason I didn't is because I wanted it to have S-curve a little bit more. But looking at it, I mean, it was right at the 10. I guess I was being too picky on that one today. I mean, that's a really nice S-curve. Everything is perfect on that trade. Should have taken NVIDIA bullish at that particular price. But my thought was if it was around here, like 138.50, if it was just a little bit lower, I would have gotten in on that trade bullish. Because again, this is a very nice tweezer top in a bullish trend with lower shadows. Very, very easy to make sense that it would pop higher, retest, and then bounce, but I guess I got scared out of it. And the trade that I did take, ended up losing on it. That was ROKU, and I think this one was a good try. It was a good attempt, but it was a very nice gap, and pretty much everyone and their mom was looking at shorting ROKU today, and the market just didn't want to make it that easy. It just seemed too simple, I guess, for a short to be in play. It was a really good gap, and I shorted it. I lost an R. Here's where I got in bearish, was right here. Got in bearish right here at 40.55, and I had my stop really far away at 41.55, but it just triggered in, and then within minutes just kind of just crushed higher and ended up stopping me out for a full R loss. Oh well, that's going to happen. I don't mind getting stopped out. I mean, the trend did continue higher. When you mess with the bulls, sometimes you get the horns, and I was trying to short it, didn't short it, didn't happen. Well, I did short it, didn't work. So at this particular point in time, I do think this gap eventually fills at some juncture on Roku, but it's a very good gap. It's nice volume, and I will be keeping an eye out for a little bit of a continuation higher. Most likely get some type of retest, some type of bounce, and more than likely a trade up into the 200 simple moving average. And then from there, we'll kind of see. But a lot of people who have some shares of Roku will probably be pretty excited that this candle came in, and you know, they pull up their brokerage account later tonight, they see that it made its move, they'll start clicking that sell button to lock in some gains. So I will be watching Roku for sure over the next few days. Just watching that one, see what's going to do. And believe it or not, got some requests for a cryptocurrency, Litecoin, LTC USD, making an inverted head and shoulders pattern on the daily chart. Still keep in mind, very speculative an investment or trade that you're going to take in on Litecoin, but this is an inverted head and shoulders. It did close above the neckline. I do like the volume. And on the weekly chart, it's also a good closure on a weekly, kind of retesting this old support, new resistance back here at 36 from November 2013 on Kraken. So at least it's something you could keep in your back pocket. I'm not saying it's going to go back to what it did in recent days, just months ago, a year ago. But it does have an interesting pattern, and there's some volume coming in down here, and I'll at least be keeping an eye out on some bullish trades out there in the crypto verse. Anyway, that about sums it up for me, folks. Feels good to be back. I'm excited. Hope to see you all on Wednesday for your next free stock review. And until then, love life, live life, and trade it. I'll see you later. Bye.